Welcome to the Badass Direct Sales Mastery Podcast with your direct sales dom, Jenny Bellinger. Badass Direct Sales Mastery is a podcast for rock star direct sales moms who are determined to make their business kick ass. Jenny will share her knowledge of effective sales and recruiting techniques, tips to get what you want from your business, and will interview direct sales professionals and leaders from various companies. The interviews will give insight to how these rock stars got to where they are and where they plan to grow in the future. And now, the direct sales dom, Jenny Bellinger.
Welcome back to another episode of Badass Direct Sales Mastery. I am your host, your direct sales dom, Jenny Bellinger, helping you whip your business into shape. And today we're doing things a little bit differently because we have not one, but two special guests with me here today. So we have Steve Wiltshire and Michelle Jones. So Steve Wiltshire has been an entrepreneur since he was 17 years old. He has held over 5,000 events in his career, promoted over 400 leaders, and has gone on to build a $19 million a year organization in MLM. He's a success trainer, author, and coach specializing in multi-level marketing, direct sales, and in mindset. He's the founder of Lifeline Coaching and Education and is best known for his $1 million Protégé leadership program that has impacted the lives of thousands of leaders around the globe. And along with Steve, we also have Michelle Jones. And Michelle Jones joined multi-level marketing 2 decades ago after experiencing burnout as an executive with the intent to find joy and apply her talents in leadership to impact lives. In a very short time, Michelle has replaced a 6-figure income working from home and went on to build a multi-million-dollar organization through her passion to help people create their ideal life and career. And through her journey, Michelle has developed a very successful business model that has resulted in retention, longevity, and countless promotions on her team, and has brought her expertise, tried and true philosophy, and systems globally to coach, train, and mentor multi-level marketers that there is a better way. So welcome, Steve and Michelle.
So glad to be here.
Hello, everyone. Super excited to be here.
Oh my gosh.
You have you're superhero. You have so many superhero powers. That's what I'm getting to know you. One of them is your tonality is like over the top.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, I loved the conversation that we had before I trained on your summit. You know, here we were live and it was just like this. I didn't even need to train. The conversation that you and I were having was just over the top magical. I love what you're about, my friend.
Oh, well, thank you. I've had so much fun getting to know each of you through this process. And, you know, it's just great when you've got other people who really understand what it takes to build and grow an organization. Because everybody has, when they start in direct sales or multi-level marketing, they have a dream for this business, but so few people actually reach it because they just don't know what they don't know. And so I love getting to have these types of conversations with people who have done it and are now teaching others to do it as well, because that's where the magic, like you talk about, happens, because we all get it. We've been there, we've done that, we've seen it happen. We know, we see the stumbling blocks before everybody else. So really quickly, I've given your bio, but Steve, let's start with you. Tell us your journey about how you arrived to where you are today. How did you get to where we are recording this in April of 2022?
Before I go there, I just have to say, everybody, you are in the right place. Your podcast has so much great content. The Leadership Summit that you put together was over the top, the Badass Leadership or Leader Summit. And, you know, I wanted to say that what I get about you is you come from such a place of purpose and heart. Everything that we've talked about, you always refer back to how passionate you are about helping people create their own strong economy in this industry. And Michelle and I resonated with that. Like, we just talked after we had our connection, our first connection, just saying, oh gosh, isn't it just, Michelle was like, I love this. I can't believe the people I'm meeting. And Jenny is just, anyway, I just have to say that. I love your back. So yeah, I joined the industry at 17 years old. And the joke is I just kept quitting all these little jobs I had. And my mother used to say to me, you're never going to be able to hold down a job, let alone get through college. I never did get through college. I got through about a year and a half of college and then I ended up quitting that. But I had a friend that was in the industry and I ended up jumping in and in my own world, I would just say I failed miserably. And the good news is I was sponsored by a leader of a top organization. And this woman didn't really know me from Adam. And here I'm in the business for a month and she comes to my graduation, like literally comes to my graduation. And she just like tucked me under her wing. And I remember about 5.5 months into it, I just said to her, I'm out of leads. I can't believe it's just, I just can't get business. I'm just out of leads. I have nobody else to call. And she said, well, I've invited you to shadow me so many times. Like, what is keeping you from doing that? That's how you're really going to learn the business. And then all of a sudden, these leads are going to show up like by magic. And I remember thinking in my mind, oh, whoa, this isn't any different than the instrument I learned. This isn't any different than the sport activities I mastered. I'm like, duh. And so I ended up going with her on 8 events in less than 2 weeks. And all of a sudden, I'm attracting business to me. Now, I want everybody to hear that because it's what you broadcast to the universe that circulates back to you. And when you feel confident and excited about things, all of a sudden, it's not about the lead. It's what you're broadcasting, ask and it would be given. And it just clicked for me. And my personal sales started increasing. And ironically, it was just like the worst time in my year that it could have happened. I was out of high school, fall was there. I was working 35 hours a week. I was going to college full time, but all of a sudden I'm just selling tons of product and sponsoring. And I get to the end of the year. And here's what I want everybody to hear. It was the only time in my life up until that point that I felt confident. It was like, wow, I'm doing well in college. Wow, I'm working 35 hours a week. And then I quit my job, won my first travel trip, and everything started to happen. And went on to build a $19 million a year business in direct sales. But, when I was 20, I was top sponsor, recruiter of the company and, winning travel trips. And I just want to say it to everybody, this business can be defined in 3 categories: belief, like philosophy, what we believe, approach, and systems. And I have a question for all of you. Are you practicing your craft? I just see in our industry, we have turned into a society of winging it. And it's like a play. You can't wing a play. You can learn your lines. And then the night before you put it away and you just jump into it with your magic. And that's what this business is all about. It's not what you learn, it's what you practice. And I know going back and looking at my life, things changed for me in 1998 when I hired my first coach. And I wanted these skills and I just ended up, I wanted eventually to become a success trainer. And I just decided maybe I'll just kind of try this thing out. So I wrote for about 2.5 years. My leaders, nobody on my team knew. And all of a sudden I wrote a couple books and a 6 CD series and then got certified as a coach and then stepped into this journey of speaking and coaching and failed miserably at that. Meaning, I did all the work on the back end. And then finally, it just started to take a life of its own. And between myself and our coaching division at Lifeline, we've worked with thousands of leaders on how to create and build a thriving team and a thriving life. It's been amazing.
That is so cool. And so, Michelle, how did you get into this and how did you two get connected?
Such a fun story. And Steve, I love listening to you.
I love listening to you too.
We're so close and connected, but I always learn new nuggets of, about you. Steve said he started his journey when he was 17. And if we double that, I started my journey when I was 34, almost 2 decades ago. And Steve, listening to you, and you talked about what you broadcast into the universe, really, right, is going to just shape and, make your future better. So when I found this wonderful industry. I was 34 years old. I was a complete workaholic. I was working in corporate America. I was married. We just worked like 60 hours a week. And I look back and I just think, how did I think that was, a great quality of life? But I remember I would lay in bed at night and think, this can't be it. I can't have this corporate job, work all these hours, miss out on holidays and events and, barbecues and all the things, I saw other people doing. But the interesting thing is somebody looking at me back then, because I had, a great career, so-called great career. I was making good money. I drove a nice car. I lived in a nice house. Nobody knew I was unhappy. And every day I think about this when I'm currently, building in indirect sales today, that there are so many people out there that we think are happy, that we think are okay, and they're not. So my journey really began when that age of 34 going, I can't do this another 3 or 4 decades. I can't work this corporate job. I can't, work these hours. I worked in retail management and I would spend 12-hour days standing in malls, and millions of people, I think of all the time that I worked in retail, I know millions of people walked by me and nobody ever invited me to anything. I'm speaking to everyone listening right now. There are people around you that are just waiting to be invited. And that first person that said, hey, there's this thing. Now, we're going back before social media. So a thing meant driving somewhere into someone's living room or, some kind of a hotel event. But the first time I was ever introduced to this industry, I'm like, how do I not know this? How do I not know people make money doing this? I actually thought people that did these kind of things were bored stay-at-home wives, which is so mean because that's what I do now. But I thought that, and that was my beginning. That was my beginning of going to a home event, getting connected with some people, realizing that, there are a lot of people that do this for fun, a lot of people that do it for a part-time, and a lot of people that do it for a full-time income. So I jumped in, it took about 18 months. I replaced a 6-figure income, and that was almost 2 decades ago. And every day I just remember that somebody invited me to something, and it was a gift that changed the course of my life. And this is why I'm so passionate in doing what we're doing right now, Jenny, sharing with people.
I love that because I definitely feel the same way in terms of it's truly a gift. It was one that was offered to me many times in my 20s, and until I found the right company, found the right, fit, then I went ahead and accepted the gift. Because here's the great thing. I turned down a lot of people. There were a lot of people who were like, you should totally do this. You so love our stuff. And I'm like, yeah, no, not a fit. Not the right time, not the right fit, not the right product. Yes, I love your stuff, but I don't want to that's not my thing. But then once I found the right company and they found me, it was a no-brainer to step into it. That offer, that gift was huge. And I'm still unwrapping little things from that gift to this day, 11 years, 12 years later. And I'm not even still with the same company, but I'm still unwrapping the benefits of having been in direct sales and doing that. So
I just remember the high, I go back and think of what I felt in this, when I was 17, it was about a month before my 18th birthday. I was senior in high school, and I had this high that I had never felt before. And when you study core values, they're often values like the freedom, the association, the self-expression, people. In fact, Michelle didn't share how we met, but I met Michelle and Brian on a cruise ship. I was there training, and I met them I remember we were in the bar. I don't know if it was it was, I think there was an event, and I'm like, who are these two? They were just magical. And I hung out with them for most of the time of my trip. And then we had an awards dinner, and they're just humble as all get out. They're getting top recruiter and top central group and top organization and sponsoring recruiting and just crushing it. But, and isn't that the great part of this industry? All the recognition, the travel trips. I'm like, sure, I'll go train for free if I could be on that cruise ship for 4 days, Alaska, whatever it was. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, absolutely. And so what do you remember about meeting Steve, Michelle?
Oh, it's so funny. Like, I just remember he was so amazing and he was helping so many people across all companies. Because at that time, I was just with one company and it was so magical for me to think, wow, you're helping people outside of just your original company. And it really was an eye opener for me to go, I can do something I love with my tribe, with my group of people. But what about if we help people in every company? Right? Like that was just such an eye opener. And it was evening and the wind was blowing and we were sailing on this cruise ship and drinking a glass of wine. And I mean, obviously we were meant to meet and, everything's just been fabulous since then in our business partnership.
That is so cool.
You are such a good coach. Like Jenny, I can't believe the stuff you're pulling out. And there's a phrase that I use all the time especially with our coaching division, and that is listening is so close to being loved. Most people can't tell the difference. But what's crazy, Michelle, we don't often talk about this. I don't think that we think about this. I mean, we were hanging out and I said, I know someday we're going to do something together. And we both kept saying, all three of us, I know someday we're going to do something together, whatever this. And then jumped into our program and then down the line. And then this is many years later, I'm working with Russell Brunson and saying I want to master a couple areas in my business, one being social media. And he is the founder of ClickFunnels, and he's the greatest online marketer in the world, expertsecrets.com. You all need that book, expertsecrets.com.
Oh, yeah. Agreed.
Amazing. So I'm in his mastermind group and he's saying, why would you want to do that? If it were me, I would go to 2 or 3 of my clients that are crushing it. They're really doing it. And he said, and see if they have a passion to want to create something with you, like live vicariously through them. And so I just started talking to my clients very generally. And it was Michelle and Mandy that just spoke volumes around purpose, just like us, right? And that's kind of where it all began. And then to see what they've been able to do in helping all of our clients leverage time and help their organizations, some of which have thousands of people. They just show them how to leverage time, especially through activities in social media.
I love that. And it's obvious to me that you are in the mindset realm because it's really the activity doesn't matter as much as when you make the shift, the mindset shift to be able to get into the right mind space, to be able to do the activity in the right way, say the words in the right way. So you've been doing the mindset thing for quite a while, and it's played a really important part for your clients. How did you get into that arena, and what does a mindset shift really mean to you and your clients? And well, I'll just shut up and let you answer that.
This is such a rich conversation because think about the theme going on here, right? Like attracts like. Like when you asked that question, I wasn't, I just started to deja vu in my life, right? Like when I said to her, I know we're going to do something someday. What I didn't say is she had just it had been a while since we had been coaching, and she reached out to me about the time I was going to reach out to her. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. The universe has your back. Gabriel Bernstein, best-selling book. The universe has your back. Whether you want to call it God, Jesus, Buddha, higher self, inner guidance system, soul, your soul is 2 steps ahead of you. And when you're living in a higher vibration, gratitude, appreciation, love, being the highest realms of expression in the on the emotional ladder, you don't have to figure it out. You just have to believe. And that's what's difficult for people. They feel like they have to have evidence in this one-dimensional world before they will attract the thing that they want. Belief is everything. So I got a question for all of you. What is the number one outcome you want for your business between now and the end of the year? Do you know that? And do you know why you want it? And it's not getting stuck on the exact way that you're going to get there or whether you get there or not. It's just believing it into fruition. How do we make it happen? We first of all have to have a clear vision and strategy. And clarity and strategy is everything. Vision is very much like heaven. And strategy is very much like earth, right? It's intent. And what does that mean? Thoughts held in mind, reproduce in like kind. Where our mind goes, we generally follow. And the first step is desire. That's what's so beautiful about witnessing children. Michelle and Brian, that's Michelle's husband, adopted 3 children. And they are now 4, 5, and 6.
Exactly. Yep.
And I just saw them when I was in Vegas. And to be around them, it was so incredible because they're in that innate stage of creativity that we all want, right? We've been around for a while. We have a lot of contrast. What does that mean? Wanted and unwanted conditions. And we usually give credence to unwanted conditions, which means we buy into circumstances and we give them power instead of being in our personal power. What can we control? Our thoughts, our actions, our attitude. Heavens, that's enough. That's even hard, right?
True.
It's so hard. And I watch myself and I teach it and I'm like, Steve, shift now. Like I'm talking to myself out loud. People would think I'm as insane. But vision is born from desire and then intent is born from vision. And so during our journey of evolving, we often develop these limiting beliefs that prevent us from achieving the success that we're so worthy of experiencing. And it's called your story. And your story isn't true, but you make it true. And it's these unwanted conditions that you have developed a limiting belief. And how do you change it? Strategy. Tony Robbins, SSS, the state that you see other people in that are successful. It's not about what they have, even though you want that. It's what got them into that elevated state. So it's belief and it's also desire. And the story is often what prevents us from doing that. How do we change our story? How do we change our story? We get a strategy. So when we start to see little wins, that's why you're looking for the Jennies and the Michelles and the Steves. You want those people that have been there before you that can lead you to that resource or lead you to that. First get clear about what you want and then support you around that strategy.
I love that. Because, if the mindset isn't there and if you don't understand the state and the strategy and the story that we tell ourselves, because, oh my gosh, even just shifting that type of languaging for myself, I just went through literally just went to a 3-day workshop with my own coach, my business coach this past weekend. Right. And one of the stories I was telling myself that was limiting me came out during that. And I was like, okay. Well, that story is going to change now because I know it's not true. And it's so great.
You had a breakthrough.
Oh, I love that.
I had that too a couple months ago. And I just started to focus on, wow, because it's so sneaky, isn't it?
Oh my God. It's insidious. It's insidious, that little, because the story we tell ourselves, guys, is not this like thing that screams at us. It's the little whispers.
Right.
And that's what makes it so freaking insidious and so hard because it feels just outside of our grasp, our reach, our realm. But we hear it anyway, right? It's we hear someone speak our name, whisper our name, whatever, or we tell ourselves these little stories of I can't do that because I don't have, I am not, I'm not worthy, I'm not enough, whatever. But those stories that we tell ourselves are awful. And we would never let our friends say that about themselves. We would never let our children say that about themselves. But we will tell ourselves that same stupid story all day long. And it's insidious. So Michelle, with all of this, you're working in mindset, you're working with social media is really your strategy. How does mindset play into a social media strategy?
Such a great question. And listening to you guys, like, oh my gosh, I'm just going, on so many roller coasters of emotion. Like I remember, as I said, being in my mid 30s and starting this journey, and the whispers, like you nailed it. The whispers, I would say, well, maybe you're too old, which is so funny because I'm 52 now, right? Like maybe you're
and look 38.
I know, right? I was thinking the same thing. I was like, you look younger than I feel. That's amazing.
It's these little kids that we have adopted that keep us young. But the whispers, you nailed it. Like, maybe I'm too old, or maybe my background, or this is one that, was a whisper for me is I did have success in corporate America, but I was time poor. Like financially, I was doing okay, but I was time poor. But I remember the whisper of saying, Michelle, why do you think you're going to be successful in two different things? Like maybe you should just put your head down and stay in your lane of, corporate America. Like the whispers, and the whispers are, I think of when someone joins a company and they're watching the team trainings, they're at a conference and they're comparing themselves to the people on stage. I'm not as tall, I'm not as young, I'm not as skinny, I have curly hair, they have straight hair, like all of these whispers that are wrong. Like people listening, I just want you to hear, if you're here and you're listening to us right now, there's a reason. Like everyone has a different belief, but for me, God has just said, stop. Like you love your company. You can do this. One thing that you need in today's world is really what Steve and I provide. Like it's probably one of the best things we provide is just social media success training. Like social media is such like a beautiful cherry on the top of someone's business. And even though we're almost a decade into social media, there are still companies, there are leaders that just don't know what to do. They don't know how to help people on social media. They might even be giving wrong information because they just don't know. And this really gets me fired up because I was blessed enough to have success in our industry before social media. At that same time as social media was coming out, I'm like, I got to figure this out. I'm adopting kids. I don't have as much time. I want to be number one. I still want thousands, on my team. So really, like, I'm just so thankful for anyone listening for a light bulb to go off is you don't have to be like that top person in your company. You have to be you. You are perfect as you are. And whatever your company is, whatever you're sharing or selling, there are millions of people right now Googling it. And we can show people how to be the ones that get in front of that. Anything, any company, any product, at any given second, there are millions of people around the world searching for that. And that's really one of the best things that Steve and I do for individuals, leaders, and companies is just teach that social media strategy that people can do. Busy people. I'm now a mom of 3 toddlers. Like, talk about my life changing in the last couple of years. People can do this in 15, 30-minute chunks of time and just grow and explode their business.
I love that because I have to say one of the biggest shifts that happened for me in my own coaching business was when I went to an event that Steve Wiltshire was having back in 2017. And he said, there are people out there right now praying for you, but they just don't know you exist. They need what you offer, but they don't know who you are. And it's your job to get in front of them so that you can provide whatever it is that you do. And that was a light bulb moment, not just for me and my business, but that was going to be true for all of my future clients, that there are people praying for those essential oils or those quick, easy, healthy meal options or the business opportunity. I mean, goodness, how many people right now in 2022 are begging for another stream of income? We are in the middle of a side gig economy. Hello. This is like the best time ever for this industry. So speaking of, we had to have this major pivot in 2020 because let me tell you, in January of 2020, my clients were having trouble recruiting. They were like, man, the economy was great. Everything was going well. So nobody wanted a second stream of income. And then all of a sudden, March 2020 happened.
Yeah.
And we had to make a major pivot through that. And so how did you work with your clients through that particular opportunity, we'll call it?
I love that.
How did you work with them through that? And what is working now compared to what was working 2 years ago, now that we've got some advantage of looking behind us now?
Absolutely. Well, I wanted to say, those of you that might be taking off a little early, in the show notes, you'll notice that piggybacking on what Michelle said, we have a gift for you, and it's called your social media blueprint.com. Is that right? Is that right? Your social media blueprint.com. And Michelle and Mandy have put together a training. We'll go into it in a few minutes, but a training for you on the 5 most important areas of social media and the number one decision that you can make in each one of those 5 areas. Those of you will keep you till the very end because you wait to hear what we have planned, what we have created for you, the complimentary gift. But, and that's exactly what happened in 2020, March of 2020. Everybody had to pivot. Now, if we start to look at that on a global level, I mean, my attorney firm, I mean, they're working from home. I mean, the car dealership, they're working from home. It shifted the world. It shifted everything. And what I think is interesting is that our industry ended up actually pulling, we'll say, all this business, or attracting, better said, all this business from retail, even online businesses. And why is that? What do I mean by that? Online businesses don't pick up their phone and text and say, Lisa, I've been thinking of you and your 4 children and being a single mom. How are you doing? How are your kids doing? Are you working from home? Like, we are taught, and this is what Michelle and Mandy are all about. Like, think about that approach. It's not, I have sale, and that's what these online businesses do. And retail business, even online, we have a sale. There's not great content. There's not, I care about people. There's not. And so all of that had to pivot. Like the business that I have many clients that did a lot of trade shows and live events, and in some cases parties. And they loved the connection, that 5 multi-sensory connection. And they had to pivot. And we became the entertainment for so many people. I can't believe how many people had not done an online event. And those of you that are in multi-level marketing, network marketing, what I have found, many of them need to learn from these direct sellers on how to create these events. You could call them anything, but parties, whatever, online parties. I mean, I was having clients doing $20,000 to $30,000 a month in online sales. And I want you to hear this, and they were people that did very little live business and dabbled a little bit. Well, they had sales, on their stories and things like that. But when they started to tap into that world because people wanted to be entertained, everything shifted. And I can tell you by the number one decision anybody can make in network marketing, multi-level marketing, direct sales is to master social media. And I just remember my phone blowing up, man. It was just super crazy. My phone blew up. I couldn't go to the gym and I didn't have my protocol. Like, this is what happens with a system. Like I had weights and everything. I was on the phone all day for 2 weeks talking to people that were reaching out to me that I hadn't coached for years. Like, what do I do? What do I do? Everybody was in fear, but our industry is so well, beautifully connected that we have a network of support and like-minded people that came together and just started to pivot. I'm thinking of companies that were just like mainly live business, and oh my God, they pivoted quick. It was just amazing.
Yeah, it was really fascinating to watch from the coaching space, especially with my clients, and how quickly things were changing. Even from, the world shut down in March. People were still wondering what the heck was going on in April. And by May, my clients were having the biggest months of their entire career because of the very fast, within 6 weeks, shift that all of these companies had made. It was amazing. So let's dig into that social media blueprint, because if the one big decision you can make right now is to master social media, what are some of the things that our listener right now should be starting to think about, and then what can they dig into with the social media blueprint gift that you have for them? Michelle?
Awesome. what our listeners really need to hear, and sometimes there's someone who has already mastered and they're having success, I would ask them to think about their team, like all of the people on their team, are they having success also? Because normally that's not the case. Like maybe you're listening right now, you're kind of comfortable and you're starting to have some traction, but what about everyone around you? Like we want it for everyone on our team. Well, there's really 5 bullet points when we think about social media that we need to understand. But before I even jump into that, the number one goal of our business is to have conversations. Whether this was years ago, right? Like years ago, I remember, almost 2 decades ago, I was told, go to the mall and have a conversation. That was terrifying. Like when I think back to that, right? That's what, go talk to someone, go talk to someone. So our number one goal still is to have conversations, but social media is such a gift. Like I hear sometimes people, they complain or they're frustrated. I'm like, let's slow down. There's so many things that you can do for pennies. You just got to be doing the right activities. So we've got to keep in our mind that our number one goal is to have conversations. Our number one goal is not to just continually post, this is for sale, or buy one, get one, or this is discounted. That's not our goal. That's not exciting. Like people don't want to be sold to.
No.
People want to do business with people they know, like, and trust. So really the 5 categories, the first category is our personal profile. So by doing the right things on our personal profile, by asking questions, by getting to know people, by having your profile share something about you, because we're all unique. If you're a person that likes to read, right, you're sharing about reading books. If it's funny, we're all cat people. We might have some cat pictures, right? Like who are you in life? Whoever you are in life, and you're sharing about yourself outside of business, you're going to attract other people. As I circle all the way back to say, someone's always Googling something. Whatever you like, there are millions of people that like it. So we've got to focus on our personal profile. And when people go to your social media blueprint.com, I think it's like over an hour this gift is, and we go deeper into these. The second thing is you've got to be posting things that are proven, like that's been posted before, that's going to cause interaction, that's going to cause engagement, it's going to cause conversation. Most people, when they post on a social media platform, it's almost like they're just yelling. They'll just state something like, I don't know, like at a great restaurant. It's literally like if you opened your front door and screamed, at a great restaurant. But what about if you took that same thing and said, hey, I'm out with some friends, we're eating this lovely meal, we're at this restaurant, what is your favorite restaurant? It really changes it, because as someone's scrolling through news feed and they're being yelled at, oh, there's a question. I think I'll answer that question. It's starting a conversation. Our number one goal is always to start a conversation. So we've got to understand our profile. We've got to have proven posts that work. Like you've got to be part of a system or a strategy with people that have proven posts. The next thing, Steve touched on this for a little bit also, is you've got to be doing some kind of events, whether you're direct sales, network marketing, MLM, whatever you are, there's still events. Don't get hung up on the word if someone says parties, because an event could be a 10-minute, a 15-minute, a 35-minute. You've got to be doing events on social media. You've got to be doing events that are simple, they're fun, they're easy, they're duplicatable. Can your new person watch your event today and do it tomorrow? Like that's when you've nailed it. Can you watch it today and do it tomorrow? That's what we want. It's not all about us being an expert. Can your new person watch it today and do it tomorrow? And how are we making them profitable? I mean, it goes all the way into how do you invite? What do you do to follow up? I mean, it's all simple steps. But if you don't know, you don't know. And if you don't know, you're one of those people that are spamming, and nobody likes that. Like that's really the kiss of death in our industry right now, is spamming people. It just doesn't work. That, hey girl, that doesn't work anymore. Like,
oh my gosh.
I just love that you rolled your eyes. I know nobody can see us, but every day I wake up and I get messages like that, and my heart actually breaks for those people. And I'm like, please, you love your company. Let me show you a better way to be doing this so you're having some success. And then out of the 5 steps, the next step is, how do you build real relationships? Like, how do you do that? How do you make people feel that they're connected to you that you've never met before? Like, how do you do that? Because what we know is people do business with people they know, like, and trust. End of story. People don't want to be sold to. They want to know you're a human. They do business with people they know, like, and trust. And when you're posting properly and you're asking questions and you're being consistent, people are going to feel like they know you. It's so fun and magical when you have all these pieces together. And then the last, this just nails it, where everyone can just be growing and having success. All of these things that you're doing, you're then moving them into your online community. A lot of companies still in 2022 talk about like a VIP group or a customer group. No. When you hear VIP, you're like, okay, I'm spending money. When you hear customer, you're like, I'm spending money. What about an online community? You're moving all of these people into your own online community that is a private community where you're inviting people in. And then in there, you're posting about life, you're posting about business, you're posting about fun, you're posting about education. Jenny, you already said some things like, depending on your business, food storage, right? If you're in a business with containers or proper nutrition or taking care of your skin, like, you're giving value, you're giving information. And then amongst all of those posts that you're doing, yeah, you're talking about your product. Yeah, you're talking about a promotion, but it feels natural. You know you've nailed your online community when you have people checking in daily, instead of what so many people tell us when we begin to work with them is they only have people checking into their group when they want to purchase. And most of our customers order a couple times a year. It doesn't work. The social media algorithms don't even let you see what's going on if you're not checking in. So those are the 5 areas. It can sound overwhelming, but if you break it down into those 5 buckets and you have the systems under each one, really quickly, someone can just start making money. Like, that's why we're here, is to help people and make money. And then they can teach it in their team also. So that's what we're so excited about here today.
I love this. And honestly, it's one of the top questions I get in social media. Well, I can help people build relationships because that is my area of expertise. Doing it via social media is a little bit different because you can't read vocal cues, vocal tone, body language, any of that. So it's a slightly different process. It takes a little bit longer to build that trust and build that relationship. And so you've got to have a very well-oiled system in those 5 areas that you talked about in order to build that trust with people over time, which will help build your business over time. You can start doing these things now and start making money now, but as you continue to do them, because the biggest mistake I think I see a lot of people do is they do the work to get to the top, and then they stop doing the work that got them to the top, and then they fall down to the bottom, and then they do the work that gets them to the top. And it's, how about you just keep doing the work that got you to the top and just keep you up there? Can we just do that? That would be great. So I want to thank you guys so much for giving this amazing gift of the social media blueprint. So again, I'm going to let everybody know, jump into the show notes. If this is your first time ever listening to Badass Direct Sales Mastery, the way that you get to the show notes is grab your phone, as long as you're not driving, grab your phone, click on the episode, scroll up, and you'll see some show notes there, some text. There's going to be some information about Michelle, some information about Steve, along with how you can connect with them. But then also is the complimentary gift of your social media blueprint.com. Just click on that link and it'll take you right there. Like Michelle said, it's a little over an hour's worth of information. So set aside maybe 90 minutes to go review this information and start putting it into play. Imagine what you could do just pulling that and doing those little bits of information, those 5 buckets, a little bit every day, 15, 20 minutes a day, just like you said. That's amazing. So thank you guys so much for your time and your expertise. I so appreciate you.
Great being here. Yeah, a lot of fun, Jenny. Thank you for having us. I'm excited to share our interview with our followers, and your programs are incredible. Love what you're about. Honored to be here today.
I so appreciate that. And Michelle, again, thank you for sharing your story and your expertise.
Thank you. And I'm really excited to see the new people we're going to meet and how we can help them. And just want to end on this note that you have a company you love and you can do this. Let's do this together.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that, let me tell you, that's just the easiest invitation into the business opportunity, right? Let's do this together, right? That so many people make the business opportunity such a big, huge, scary thing. And it's literally as easy as saying, let's just do this together.
Yeah, right.
That is so great. Well, thank you guys so much. I'm going to take this time to wrap this up. And Badass Crew, you guys know how this goes. Stay tuned because there's another Badass episode on its way. Hey, Badass Crew, Jenny B here. I want to start by thanking Gina, Matt, Jessica, and Renee for finding me on social media and connecting with me. If you've been listening to the show for a while, find me on your favorite social media platform. Friend request me and send me a message letting me know that you're a member of the Badass Crew. I want to meet you. Trust me, I will fangirl on you so hard because I love you. So go find all of my pertinent social media links right in the show notes.
Thanks for listening to the Badass Direct Sales Mastery Podcast with your direct sales dom, Jenny Bellinger. Why are you waiting to go to badassdirectsalesmastery.com? Don't make the dom get her whip. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to share it with another rock star that you know in direct sales after you subscribe to the podcast so you won't miss any future episodes. You can also check out the show notes for links and any contact information mentioned in today's episode. We'll see you next time.